What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Reasonable Doubt. This is season two, you guys. This is episode number 8. And then this episode, it was titled, actually, I don't even know if I got the name of the episode right, but I think the episode was titled Change the Game. Now, before we go ahead and get into it, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out in this date and then have me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and get into this episode of Reasonable Doubt, shall we? So this episode it picks up where we ended things last week with Jax telling Lewis, wait. So Lewis waited, and so Jax let Lewis know, you know, she wants to be with him. She doesn't want to lose their relationship. She loves him unconventionally, right? So she doesn't want to give up her marriage. And I was like, okay, Jax, if Jax likes it, I love it, right? I don't have no problems with it. So cool. So, cool for Jax, right? So we see as Lewis and Jax, baby, they took it to the bedroom to make love to each other. I was like, oh. And when I say make love to each other, that was literally making love because, baby, that one, no, you know, what they've been doing here lately. They took their time with each other. They took their time with each other. So after that, the next morning we see Jax. So Jax is in like a really, really good mood. And Naima and Spencer looking at them like, ew. So they're getting ready for school. So Naima has on this little outfit. And with this outfit she has on, no, Lewis and Jess both told her, no, you ain't finna wear that outfit. Hold on. There is a lot of noise over here. My bad, you guys. So, like I said, the kids are getting ready for school. The little outfit Naima had on, both Jax and Lewis were like, absolutely no, ma'am. Go back and change, right? And she cocked a little attitude, copped a little attitude. And I was like, oh, y'all gonna check that? So Spencer said, are y'all good? Like, no more somebody sleeping on the couch, the fake working out on Saturdays and stuff. And they were like, yeah, we're good. And I love the fact that Jax once again said F them kids again. I was like, especially y'all's kids, right? So we see as Jax went to work, and so Corey is apologetic to her about what happened the night before in the conference room. And Jax is like, oh, yeah, no worries. It's all good. I was like, girl, you was about to risk it all. It's a big deal, but okay, Miss Jax, I'm gonna let you have it, right? So Corey's whole thing is he wants to keep things professional. And Jax laughed when he said that, right? So then we see Corey as he's telling, who will take the stand, right? To show Chanel didn't steal the money and that JT tried to take her out. So it's gonna be the doctor that he had on, the live with him, and then there are gonna be experts from like the bank and a person who can, look at handwritings and tell if this is forged or not, right? So Jack said, well, we need to prove that Chanel didn't plan to take out JT because that's really what Lucy's whole thing is that she's trying to present to this jury that Chanel intentionally took out JT. So after that, with that, Corey's whole thing is that, that's what they have Sally for. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess, right? Okay. So Corey asked Daniel if he was able to find any of JT's exes to come forward. So he's reached out to five of them, I think he said, right? But none of them wanted to, help at any point, right? But he did say that there's another one. Her name is Ebony, and she is at some kind of treatment clinic, right? So they also want to use this clerk that Chanel went down to get a restraining order against JT, right? And Daniel was like, "Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a good idea or not because of the whole fact that she did an interview with TZT, and they were like, damn it, right?" So after that, we are in court, right? So in court, we have Dr. Michaels, who is portrayed by Essence Atkins. I was like, oh, look at Essence Atkins. Love Essence, right? So she's on the stand and she's just presenting to them how people can get into abusive relationships, be it physical, mental, emotional, financial, all the above, right? And she's also talking about how when it comes to black women and how black women don't report things because of sexism, racism, all the isms when it comes to black women more specifically, right? And I loved how she painted it. I did, right? Because it's literally the story of Chanel and JT. JT was a successful football player, so in the beginning, he's not going to start out with the physical. He's going to start out with, telling you his trauma and, telling you his trauma. Then it manifests itself into other things. And I like the fact that she said that, right? So then Lucy got up behind Corey and did her cross examination. Once again, she's painting JT as the victim and not Chanel, right? And so then Corey came up behind her and did a rebuttal. And honestly, looking at it, I don't necessarily think that Lucy is proving her case because there are so many whole like she's trying to prove that Chanel intentionally did this, but I don't think it's being proven. You guys can tell me what you think in the comment section below. So then we see Jax. So Jax went to go pick up Spencer from school, right? And there's this little girl named Aisha that came by and spoke to Spencer. And, Jax made a little joke, Aisha. I was like, ooh, Jax. No, ma'am. Spencer looked at her, looked the way I looked at her. Now, I get it, it is so interesting to me because when you think about it, when we were kids and our parents used to do things like this, it used to be cringy, right? And now we're getting to our parents' age, the age that our parents were when we were kids, doing it to younger. Like I got a little cousin, and I got cousins, nephews, nieces, and stuff. Do it to them, and they be like, "You're a little cringy, sir." And it's like I'm cool. I'm cool. Like I'm the cool uncle. But to them, it just looks a little cringy, right? So while they're at the pickup, Jack saw Lucy with her ex, and I was like, "It's mighty." I think it's funny when it comes to Miss Lucy, Miss Hard Ass. Well, she's not as hard ass as she was in the first episode, but Lucy, it's very interesting to see with Lucy that she might not be in a domestic situation, but she's definitely in a precarious situation with her ex. And you would think, but I mean, again, this is a job that she has to do. It's nothing personal against Chanel because I was like, damn, you would think that with well, no, the fact that you went for what you're going for, girl, like, how do you not see what's going on when you're trying to keep your son away from his father? But okay, Miss Lucy, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it, Miss Lucy. I'm gonna let you have it. 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 Right. So after that, we see as Lewis and Jax, they're in therapy and they're happy with each other, right? And they're saying that they're gonna stay together. So the therapist is telling them, not supposed to say this, but he's happy for them, right? So he asked them what's next. And then this is the point where Lewis said that, Terrence is there. And Jack's like, what have you told him? And he was like, I told him everything. Like, I needed somebody to talk to. So Jax is in her feelings, right? So then the doctor says, well, how will you tell the kids about the baby? And they didn't answer at all, right? So he said, "Might I have a suggestion for you guys?" And they were like, "What's the suggestion?" He said, "When it comes down to it, you guys have to be able to get through the hard conversations and not hold it against each other." So then the next thing we see is Jax and Lewis are at Tony's doorstep. I was like, I know you fucking lying to me, right? So they both went to go see Tony to basically let Tony know, like, hey, yes, Lewis is the father. Jax is going to be his stepmother. So we're all going to be a part of this baby's life. And the baby is a boy, right? So Jax told her, yeah, boys can be a lot. She's like, and because Spencer ran me ragged, but I had Lewis there with me, and Tony was like, yeah, I won't be alone either. And she's like, oh, I know, because you got two baby daddies. I was like, Jax, Jax. I loved it though. And Lewis, she's like, what? I wasn't being shady. I was like, yes, you were, Jax. Yes, you were. So then after that, we see Jackson and Lewis. So they're talking about the kids. They're talking to the kids. Spencer doesn't have to go to school, right? So he's gonna stay at home. And so Naeem was like, she wants to switch schools, right? Because it's a teacher development day, right? And so he mentioned something about going to Aisha's house. And Naeem is making a little joke, she's like, oh, he loves him some Aisha, because she heard one of his phone conversations, right? So they were like, are her parents at home? And he was like, yeah, her dad works from home. So Jack, not Jess, but Lewis, like, you know what? I'll take you over there. He said, oh, let me go shower. I was like, let you go shower. Did you not shower before you put these clothes on? You know what, Spencer? Have at it. So we see as Lucy was trying to get a restraining order on her ex. She didn't use her name, but I guess with the custody case, she's potentially looking at 50-50, right? So she's with one of her friends, and her friend basically tells her, like, why don't you tell John about his father? So what happened with Lucy is she never told John about his father. And it's not like he was in prison for domestic violence. It was for, I believe, gun and drug charges, right? But the problem with Lucy was that Lucy painted her ex-husband as a superhero, when in her world he's not a superhero, right? So she's stressing out over the case. Now, back in court, we are talking about this $30 million, right? So they're showing the bank transactions that one were all done by JT. They're showing the signatures of Chanel's actual signature and the signatures on the check. And the expert said that those signatures don't match, right? I was like, oh, Lucy, girl, you are losing this case. You like, girl, you didn't think, never mind. Good luck to you, Lucy, because I really don't think that you're going to win this case. But we'll talk about that more as we get to it, right? But yeah, they're just in court. This is really just Corey, more so specifically, Corey and Jax proving to the jury that this money that they're trying to allege that Chanel was holding on to, Chanel knew nothing about it. Those signatures on the checks had nothing to do with Chanel. So we're clear on that, right? Now, after that, we see Jax that she called her mom up, right? Actually, no. Mama called Jax on the phone because she's saying that she wants Jackson and the family to come over the next day, which is a Saturday, because she wants them to meet Kevin. Jax was reluctant at first, and then she asked her mom, since when do you care about what I think and what I think? And she said, since now. So Jax was like, you know what, Ma, we'll be there. So after that, we see Spencer, and he's at Aisha's home with a bunch of other kids, right, showing them some dance moves. And Aisha's dad came up to tell her, like, "Hey, gotta run into the office real quick. You guys gonna be okay by yourself for a little bit? Cool, peace out." Right. So when her dad left, that's when the other kids went and started pulling out the drugs, and I was like, "Oh wow." So Aisha and Spencer don't do them, right? And they look like some prescriptions and whatever else you could get your hands on, right? So Spencer says, "Well, I don't do that, but I do vape." But he left his vape pen at home. And Aisha's like, well, I'll go get my vape pen. So she gave him a kiss on the cheek and went to go get her vape pen. Now, we moved back over to the crib. So it's later that night, right? So Jax got home and she saw Naima there with Terrence. And she was like, Naima, where's your dad? She's like, well, he had to do something at work. And so Uncle Terrence picked me up, right? So she excused Naima. And so it's just her and Terrence sitting there talking, right? So Terrence is like, you know what, Jax, I love you, but I love my brother more, right? And he was like, I don't want my brother to get hurt. So if you're not going to be all in with this, then you need to tell my brother now. And I was like, here's the thing when it comes to Jackson Lewis, right? I think I said it last week. The problem that I have when it comes to Jackson Lewis, because Lewis made some very valid points last week when it came to Jax, right? He wasn't wrong about the fact that, and Terrence isn't wrong because Terrence even told her, you keep calling this a side baby. It's a break baby. It's a side break baby. It's the same damn thing. It's a baby that ain't mine, that my husband had with another woman, right? But I get it. It's, one part of me wants to be like, Lewis is effed up for this. But then the other side is like, not really. Because both Jax and Lewis were doing things. He was watching her sleep with other people, and he retaliated. I think the problem is the fact that he slept with Tony, someone that she may not be friends with, but is someone that she does know, and it just doesn't go over well, right? But it is what it is, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below, you guys. And we will go ahead and move on. So next up, we see Daniel. So Daniel found Ebony, who is played by none other than Candy, right? And she was like, I will mace you. Like, whatever you want. No. So we find out with Ebony that Ebony is Chanel's oldest daughter's mother. So she had an addiction problem and she went to rehab, and that's how JT got the oldest daughter, right? So she's not actually in the clinic. But at this point, she works at the clinic, right? So actually got ahead of myself too, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. But we found Ebony. Now we we see as the family they're meeting Kevin, right? So they're playing Uno, and you can tell that Naima wasn't really feeling this. So Jax asked her like, "What's wrong, Naima?" And so Naima still is, not really feeling Kevin because she feels like Kevin is trying to replace, Grandpa Paul. What I will say is, I'm glad that Jax has not told Naima and Spencer about Grandpa Paul. And I'm also glad that, because, Naima obviously loved him. And I'm glad that she's not shattering, you know, her image and her memories of Grandpa Paul, right? Although Jax has terrible memories of the man. I'm glad that she's not doing it to her daughter, right? So Lewis basically told her, don't be afraid to, to receive love from a new family member. And I was kind of with Jax because the way she looked at him, I was looking at him the same way. I was like, so you gonna tell him about the baby? Y'all, let's talk about the baby real quick. Let's talk about the baby. I think something's gonna happen to that baby. And I'm gonna tell you guys in a little, I'm gonna go deeper into it in just a little bit. So we see as Jax showed up to some kind of event at the school, and she came with some muffins, brownies, something, some kind of pastries, right? Or some kind of, I don't know if it was a pastry or whatever the hell it was, but she came there, and we see Lucy there, and we actually see that these two hit it off, got smoking cigarettes and common. I was like, okay, cool. I thought it was hilarious when that woman came outside and saw them two smoking, and she just had the look of pure, utter disgust on her face. I hollered. I hollered, you guys. It was funny to me. Now, after this, we see as Tony is, preparing for a home birth. Lewis went over there. He was like, "Don't you think you should be doing this in a hospital?" And she was like, "No, I want to do a home birth because when I have my daughter, she had a blood clot, and she wasn't able to recover for a few weeks. So I get it, right? I get it. But he feels otherwise. And she was like, either you can be with it or you can go on. Like, I won't need you in the kid's life. I was like, girl, that's the wrong words to say, but okay. So now we're in court again, and Sally is taking the stand, right? So Jax is starting with Sally about, the photos that she took, right? So Jax asked Sally, like, why did you never call the police? So Sally says, well, I did call the police on a particular night in question. What happened is, I was over to the house. JT had got home, and he Chanel gave him something to drink, but it spilled on his shirt. So he got up screaming in Chanel's face, and then he took the glass and he threw it against the wall. And so she called the police. When she called the police did come out, but the police were so enamored with JT and the fact that he gave them VIP tickets and took a selfie with them that they never ever filed the police report. And that is terrible when you think about it. But we'll if we can discuss that a little later, or we can discuss that in the comments. But that is terrible. That this man is, just because he's a football player, he gives you tickets to a game and a selfie. You ignore the abuse of another person. Like, that's janky as hell, right? So Jax also has this safety plan that she and Chanel came up with, right? Where she was helping Chanel be able to get away from JT. So Lucy got up and she said, so how many items are on that safety plan? So she said, it's 15. And she said, of the 15, how many did you guys complete? And so she says, four. And so she asked her, okay, what was the exact date that Chanel was supposed to get away from JT? She said, we didn't have one because Chanel is leaving her home, everything that she has, right? She's leaving her home, money, all this kind of stuff. And so this is once again, Lucy trying to flip it. Oh, money. Lady, I think we know she didn't have. So she asked her, okay, so y'all were selling some things, right? So they had sold a jersey of JT's. And so now she's trying to label Chanel as a thief and a liar. And, Sally's like, she's the most honest person I know. She's like, well, did you know she was having an affair with Adrian? She says, no. Okay, so she is a liar. I was like, you raggedy heifer. So then she asked about JT. She was like, "Well, I'm glad it was him and not Chanel. He fucking deserved what he got." I agree. What we saw in the previous episode. I agree. Like, I agree. Now, so I was like, "Ooh, Sally, girl, that's gonna hurt Chanel." So Jackson Corey, they went back to deliberate with each other, and he's saying, how the whole thing with Sally was a setback. So Jax wants to put the Rebecca woman on the stand, and Corey is like, no. And we also find out that at this point they were still trying to find Ebony, right? So we see as Jax picked up Naima from school, Mama Lou called her, and Jax told her, you know what, Mom, I like Kevin, right? He seems normal. So we see as Lewis, he got home, and him and Terrence had went out. And then he told Jax about what happened with him and Tony. I was like, oh, Tony, you done stepped in and out, girlfriend. Jax is on the case, right? So he told Jax that he wished the baby would go away. I was like, yikes. So then he apologizes to Jax and asks Jax to forgive him. And I was like, no, sir, it don't work that way. So we see Adrian. So Adrian went down to see Chanel, right? And he told her about the deal that he got to get out of all his legal issues. But she did tell him, like, I do appreciate you for getting on the stand and saying what you said, right? But she doesn't know if she can forgive him. So he told her that he does love her. He also told her, like, he got let go from the team, his assets are frozen and all this kind of stuff. So he asked Chanel to marry him. And she looked at him. He was like, just think on it. Now, after that, we see Jax. So Jax is talking to Lewis, and Jax is telling him, like, all this stuff for me, it won't be easy, but I'm here. And she told him, like, you got to stop asking me for forgiveness because it's only for you and it makes you feel better, but not me. And I was like, exactly. Now, back with Jackson Corey in court, they have put the Rebecca woman on the stand, right? And, she's talking about how she remembers Chanel because of her big diamond ring, right? And the fact that Chanel came in for the restraining order, but she left not filing or even getting the paperwork for the restraining order, right? So Lucy got up and questioned the woman. She's like, well, approximately how many people do you see in a day? She said, how many people she see in a day? Okay, she was like, so you see five people in a day. So there are, 7 days in a week, 50 weeks in a year. So approximately you see about, maybe 72,000 people in a year. And you just happen to remember Chanel. And so the lady was like, well, yes. She's like, the people that I remember are the ones who don't follow restraining orders because, she wonders what's happening with them if it's still continuing. And I was like, okay, sis, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And it worked in their favor. So when they left court, Corey told Jack she was right. She was like, yeah, kind of knew that, right? So after that, we see Autumn. So Autumn went to go see Sally, and not Sally. She went to go see Chanel, and she apologized to Chanel, saying, girl, I am so sorry that you didn't feel like you could come to me and tell me what was going on. And Chanel was like, girl, it's not on you. She's like, it was JT. JT made it seem as if you guys were better than me because I was just a housewife, right? And so Autumn was like, girl, I'm a therapist and I'm a therapist because I'm a mess. We all know Sally is a mess. And Jax, she slept with a man who tried to take her out, right? So she's just basically letting her know that she's there for her. And so after that, we see Jax. So Jax went to go pick up Naima from school, right? And she sees Tony. So she walked up to Tony and said, hey, Tony, so you trying to keep Lewis out of the baby's life? Like, Lewis has rights as well, right? You know that, right? She's like, if you want to get a lawyer, we can do that. And she's like, is that a threat? She's like, nah, bitch, I'm just reminding you of who I am. I was like, yes, Jax, get this hoe. I was here for it, you guys. I was here for it. So we find out with Lucy that Lucy has joint custody of her son with her ex. And then we see, I've already talked about Daniel finding Ebony, who told him, kick rocks or I'll tase you. And like I said, Ebony is portrayed by Candy. So we see at the end of the episode, Jax found the vape pen that Spencer has. And so we see as Chanel, oh, I forgot to mention about Chanel's cellmate. Well, the person that's next to her in the cell next to her, that woman unlived herself. That woman took herself out. So Chanel was thinking, and so she went and made a phone call and she was like, I think we need to tell the truth at this point. So it was Sally on the other line, right? And Sally said, we need to do this in person and don't say another word until we see each other, right? So I know that there are a lot of people who still think that Sally did it. And I can see how you guys feel that Sally did it. Because I mean, looking at it the way that they're writing it, it absolutely does look like Sally did it. I think Sally came in to help. Because you guys remember, JT's body was moved. And I know that Chanel didn't do that by herself. Chanel didn't do that by herself. Chanel had help moving JT's body. And here's my theory, you guys. So what I think happened, we I'm pretty positive we're gonna find out what happened in next week's episode. Next week is not the season finale. We have an episode 10 this season, right? So next week is not the season finale because I was thinking next week was the finale, but next week Jax is gonna put it together on who is the one that took out JT. But here is my theory, you guys. My theory is that remember I forget which episode it was, but we saw as Chanel was being strangled, right? I do believe that the oldest daughter, Ebony's daughter, came in, clocked JT over the head with the trophy, right? And to keep that daughter from getting in any trouble, I feel like Chanel called up Sally, be like, hey, Sally, because remember, Sally is helping Chanel. So I feel like Sally came over, got the little, got the girl, took her somewhere else, right? And then probably in that time frame, that's when Chanel probably tried to move the body and then call 911. And I also believe Sally may have tried to help move JT's body because JT is a big boy. So those are my theories. I love hearing you guys' theories. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.